I'm Alex and I've lived in Shetland since 2006. I've got 2 grown-up sons. One's in the Channel Islands and the other one lives in the USA. I love my life up here. Keep fit, gardening, hill walking. I'm lucky enough to be allowed to help with the lambing next door, and I also enjoy crafting. I'm a very active person. I had thought I was absolutely fine, despite the fact I had needle-like pains in both my breasts for many years. It had begun in 2000, in just the one breast. I'd seen my GP when it started and been sent for a mammogram, which had given me the all clear, but the pains continued. They subsequently spread to my other breast, and they were put down to a chronic condition which affects my neck. Further routine mammograms over the years were also clear. My mother died in 2016. I was helping with lambing, and we'd also just started a large extension to our house when I had another routine mammogram. I wasn't worried. I felt as good as I'd felt fit and pain-free for years. So it was a huge shock when I got a recall and was sent to Aberdeen for further routine tests. I was hopeful it was nothing, but when a biopsy was taken, I began to worry about the pains in my breasts. I was given my results at the Gilbert Bain. I had stage 2 lobular breast cancer. The Macmillan nurse told me that the pains were most likely to have been an early sign of the cancer, and I was scared when I heard this because it had been ongoing for 16 years without being detected. And I had exactly the same pains in my other breast, so even though the cancer, it hadn't shown that it had cancer in the mammogram or the ultrasound at Aberdeen, I was offered a lumpectomy or a mastectomy, and they told me whatever surgery I chose, I would be at risk of lymphedema for the rest of my life. So I couldn't shave under my affected arm ever again. And that both scared and disgusted me. I was really worried that that cancer had been undetected in me for a long time, and I knew that I'd always worry about being able to detect it if it came back again in my breast. And I was also scared and sure that it was in the other breast, so I asked to have 2 mastectomies. I was really distressed when the breast surgeon said he could only remove the breast which had been diagnosed with cancer. He did say I could perhaps have a second mastectomy the following year. As I felt so well, I couldn't understand why I wasn't allowed the 2 mastectomies. I was sure I was more fit then than I would be in a year's time if I needed radio or chemotherapy. I would have, and nearly did, decide not to have any surgery at all. The prospect of what was ahead of me after the surgery scared me more than the cancer, particularly if I couldn't handle it in the way that seemed to me to give me the best chance of a life afterwards. It was only because I didn't want to hurt my family that I went ahead with a mastectomy, hoping that I would avoid radiotherapy and be allowed the second mastectomy. It wasn't a decision I took lightly. Of all of my body, my breasts were the part that I was happiest with, and I dreaded being single-breasted. I knew that I'd feel like a freak, which I did after the operation. A freak with a hairy armpit, scared, because I also continued to feel the needle-like pains in my remaining breast throughout the following year until I was allowed the second mastectomy. I first came to Clan to work as a volunteer in the shop in Lerwick about 2 years after my cancer diagnosis. I was having a very difficult recovery. In fact, I just wasn't recovering. I'd been managing on 2 to 3 hours sleep since coming off HRT at my diagnosis. I had severe, sudden onset menopausal symptoms. intense flushes 24/7, and my anxiety levels were sky high. The post-operative tightness that I experienced following my surgery, instead of improving, had spread and got worse. I sought help from my GP, my surgeon, Macmillan. I followed all the advice given, and I'd been as proactive as I possibly could be. It was to this end that I was volunteering in Clan to try and regain some control and start living my life again. I'd been working in the shop for a while when the increasing tightness across my chest caused my ribs to break. I saw my GP and my surgeon, and I spoke to the Macmillan nurse, and they couldn't help me. Having come to a dead end, I was looking to find private treatment on the mainland to help me. The staff at Clan had noticed that I wasn't doing very well and offered me support and therapies. I knew I was lucky not to have needed more cancer treatment. There were many more people who had it much worse than I did. But that didn't make me feel any better, just guilty about how I felt. I didn't know what was happening to me, and I couldn't accept it, and I was frightened. The folk at Clan made me feel less isolated, and that I too deserved to be helped. The lack of sleep, flushes, and the crippling anxiety had really taken their toll. The reflexology sessions gave me a break. For the hour that each appointment lasted, the lovely therapist was able to take my mind away from my anxieties. It was peaceful and quiet. She was able to relax me, so somehow I didn't seem to mind the intense flushes while I was receiving the therapy. It let me forget, just for a while, what I was enduring. It allowed my mind to be quiet. The cancer massage therapist was able to begin the process of loosening the tightness across my chest. She managed to untangle a thick cord which had grown down my chest. The post-operative tightness had been ongoing for more than 2 years at this point, so it was well established. But she managed to begin to give me a release from it. I went on to seek more specialist treatment privately on the mainland, following the success she was able to show me was possible. I also continued to see her privately after my therapies with her at Clan were finished. It started me on the path to reducing the effects of my surgery. Subsequent to the mammogram follow-up in Aberdeen, all my consultations and cancer treatments have been and are conducted in Shetland. So I haven't and don't have any direct access to oncology professionals or any of the other main charitable cancer organisations on the mainland. As such, I didn't have access to the information and the support which is available there. The NHS and Macmillan had been unable to help me. Clan was the only other organisation here available to me. I hadn't asked for Clan's help as I'd thought that they too would be unable to help me. I wish I had gone to them or been signposted to them much earlier. By the time I accessed their support, my problems weren't actually the worst ones I was coping with. I was physically and mentally exhausted. I was suicidal. One of the support staff at Clan asked me a question, one that no one involved in my care up to this point had asked me. My answer was enough for her to set the ball in motion to get me the psychiatric help that I needed. It came quickly, and she gave me support while I waited. I wouldn't be here today without it. I'd had enough. It was a question of when, not if. I'd coped for a long time until I couldn't. I was incredibly lucky, and I owe so much to the care and support that I've received from Clan in Shetland. Because of the help I've had, I'm here. I like to think that I'm stronger than I was. I'm certainly more self-aware and comfortable with who and where I am today. With work, the tightness across my chest is considerably reduced. I can breathe easily again. It will always be there, but I can and am still working with improvements. I wouldn't change my choices of treatment. I was right in my instinct for what was right for me. However, I would wish that I'd been better informed before and during my treatment, so that I had the opportunity to know what might and what was happening to me when it did. I don't cope well with the unknown. My flushes never have subsided, but amazingly I have got used to them, and the overwhelming anxiety, it isn't overwhelming anymore. I can sleep, and I don't think I will ever take that for granted again. My life before cancer wasn't perfect, but the effects it and its treatment had on my health, both physically and mentally, broke me. I needed help to put myself back together. Thanks to the lovely lady at Clan who recognised what was happening with me, I'm back on track again. It's a different path to the one I probably would have been on if I hadn't been diagnosed with cancer, but it's one I'm very happy to be on. For now, I'm cancer-free. I'm looking forward to, but not taking for granted, the rest of my life. I'm enjoying what I have in the here and now, and I'm happy to deal with the future as it happens.